What's up, Attack the World? Joshua Grasso here from theshutterschool.com with a quick lighting tutorial for you. It's actually a really cool special effect that I like to use when I have a situation where I just need to spice things up and get something a little bit more artsy, take something plain and make something magical. Here's the goal. So we're going to show you how to go from this to this. Yes, and this is all in camera. This is not Photoshop. I mean, granted, I edited it to make everything pop, but this isn't multiple exposures. This is in camera, one exposure. So how did I do it? Let's get into this. So here's the behind the scenes. Real simple is there's a small little pine forest patch in a parking lot. As you can see, there's cars all around at the base. And then there's light shining through the trees, and it's actually really cloudy, really hazy light. And that's kind of where I got this effect. Okay. And so basically, if you look at this as a light texture map kind of a thing, you're going to have solid dark green with bright white lights, bright white spaces. Now, if you were to do a long exposure and move the camera, then what you're going to do is create shutter drag, and the bright spaces will drag and create much more of an effect than the dark spaces. The dark spaces, if there's a little bit of light on them, might make a little bit of a shutter drag effect, but the bright spaces will make a strong shutter drag effect. So this is a really popular technique, like on a dance floor or something, and you put a slow shutter and you shake the camera, or you're at a concert and you get all these lights flashing everywhere or making light streaks everywhere. It's a pretty common technique, and I'm doing that exact same technique but outside, and there are no lights, but we have a huge difference in the light of the sky and the trees, and that will allow us to replicate that shutter drag light streak effect. So that's all this is. Now, it is still daylight. This is getting close to sunset, so it is a little bit dark, but it's still bright enough where if I were to do a slow shutter speed on the couple, then they're going to show up and they're going to be dragging and they're not going to look very good. So the trick is to darken the exposure. And so what I did was create a dark frame by dialing in a high aperture. So let's see in my final shot here, I was at half a second at f11. So it took f11 to darken everything enough where the trees were relatively black and the sky, that twilight sky, was kind of a light blue white effect that was still able to show up, but the couple wasn't blurry because they weren't really showing up without the light. So as you can see in the lighting setup, I would then take a strong, at almost full power or half power, this is an 80-200. It's going to be very hard to do this with a regular speed light. It's just not bright enough. So you're going to need an 80-200. If this was like middle of the day or sometime that it's a little bit brighter out, you're probably going to need two 80-200s or an 80-600, a bigger, more powerful light. But because this is the end of the day, it's almost twilight time. It's bright, but not like middle of the day bright. I'm able to get away with one 80-200 light. So I have a magsphere on there just for the heck of it. Doesn't really make a difference in this particular shot, just to soften it a tiny bit. And I throw the light on the couple, like I said, half or full power. And what that's going to do is freeze them. So it doesn't matter how much I use the camera, move the camera, by having that bright, quick flash on the couple, exposing the couple, they will be frozen. And that's the key, is they will be frozen by that bright, quick flash that is going to hit them. And then I can do as much movement with the camera as I want, and they won't be blurry. And so you kind of have to find the sweet spot based on the lighting of what your slow shutter speed would be. So here's kind of one of the first shots to give you an idea of kind of the effect that I'm trying. You can see the flash off to the side, lighting the couple, they're frozen. And then I'm swooping the camera like this, and it's half a second. So I got to move kind of quick. If you go too long, then the light streaks get too bright and take over the photo. So you kind of got to find that sweet spot. So I found about 0.4 seconds was working pretty well for me here at f11. ISO 64, and I was swooping the camera and getting these nice streaks. So as you can see in this photo, because there's not a ton of blur, you can see what's going on. The bright spots in the frame are creating this light drag effect, and then the trees are kind of staying dark. And so as I go and try different things, I try different swoops, I try longer shutter, slower shutter. I'm just experimenting to see what I can make. So just show a couple of the exposures. This one's not heavily edited, so I'm trying up and down to see what kind of swoop it makes. Then I start like kind of spinning, and maybe this one I was shaking it. Maybe I spun it a little bit. This one turned out kind of cool. And then this one, I think I'm starting to spin the camera because the streaks weren't lining up the way I liked. And I thought this one turned out pretty awesome, the way it's all the dark making a diagonal. Bottom half of the frame is all dark, and then the top half of the frame is all blue. Kind of cool. It's super abstract. It's super different. And then when I pop the editing, kind of saturate the colors a little bit, and you can really make this distinction of these light blurs pop. So it's something totally different from what you saw in the before shot. You kind of have to pre-vision this to expect it. And in even pre-visioning it, I didn't know it was going to look this cool. I kind of have done it before and it didn't look like this. I think usually when I do it, it's sunny. And so that sunny and blue sky creates its effect. But because it was kind of cloudy, it added a little bit more of a blue, which I liked. And so here's the last one, my favorite one. This is from just kind of twirling and shaking the camera. As you can see, the dark edges of where the tree was are kind of in a circular-ish pattern. So I must have been kind of spinning the camera a little bit really fast to try to get a cool effect. And luckily I got them nice and close, squeezing in. I think he's like being silly there, trying to get her laughing. And we get this cool photo. So kind of shows you the effect. The setup, again, is super simple. You just need some contrast of light in the background, dark trees, bright sky, a very bright flash on the couple to freeze them, move the camera, and you can go from this to this. So pretty cool shot, I think. This one I didn't edit, but this one might be cool. Yeah, and I think maybe this one might be my other favorite. Just kind of really abstract, really outside the box here. So give it a shot, get out and play, and see what you can make. All right, thanks for watching. Again, I'm Joshua Grasso from theshutterschool.com. Please like and subscribe, help this channel grow. I would love to keep it up so I can make more videos. And speaking of more videos, we'll see you in the next one.